most classic salads coming right up. Hey, Chef Dez coming at you from my kitchen again. Corporate chef of BC Egg. You know what we're gonna make today? You got it. Classic Caesar salad. And we're gonna do it obviously with good old BC eggs. Let me show you how to make the dressing. It's really simple, just a couple of key things you have to remember, okay? So food processor rather than a blender. Here's why. Food processor, you have a wider base with a big blade. Blenders are more vertical, obviously, with a little tiny blade at the bottom. And the blender really relies on having a more of a liquid component in there to circulate everything through those little blades. By using a food processor, something thicker, like the Caesar salad dressing, or even a hummus or a pesto, it's gonna come together a lot easier because of that wider surface with the bigger blade. You can do a Caesar salad dressing in a blender, but a food processor works better. We're just gonna go through a few ingredients first and put them in the food processor. 1 tablespoon of fresh lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of white wine vinegar. Now those are the acids. We're basically making an emulsified oil and vinegar dressing. We'll get back to what emulsified means in a minute. But I have my acid, so oil and vinegar, vinegar being the acid, I have my acid in 2 areas, lemon juice and white wine vinegar. So it's more of a complex acid flavor. If you want to use 2 tablespoons of lemon juice or 2 tablespoons of white wine vinegar instead of splitting between the two, you can do that. We're also going to be adding 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Now that's really important. That's going to act as one of our emulsifiers, but again, I'll explain that in a second. We're also adding 1 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, which is a really classic ingredient. We're going to do 2 or 3 dashes of Tabasco. 3 canned anchovy fillets. These are located in the refrigerated seafood section of your local grocery store. If you can't find them in a can, you can use the anchovy paste, which would be 3 teaspoons approximately of the paste instead of the 3 fillets. Again, another classic ingredient in a Caesar salad dressing recipe. And even if someone doesn't like seafood, they're not gonna know what's in there. It just builds a great complexity. 2 or 3 whole garlic cloves. If you like your Caesar salad dressing really potent, go with 3, okay? Or maybe if they're smaller cloves, go with 3. Or 2, whatever you want. There's a couple going in there. Couple tablespoons of dry dill. And a half teaspoon of salt. Now it's time for our lovely BC eggs. Every single large egg has 14 key nutrients, all 9 essential amino acids, 6 grams of the highest quality protein you can get, and 1 large egg, it's only 80 calories. But in this dressing recipe, we're gonna be using just the egg yolk, not the egg white. Save your egg whites for your breakfast tomorrow, make an omelet, make scrambled eggs, whatever. And here's why. The egg yolk is a natural emulsifier. Same thing with anything made with mustard seed. So remember the Dijon mustard we put in there? Anything made with mustard seed is an emulsifier. Egg yolk is also an emulsifier. And why that's important is because we want to bring this dressing together in a completely emulsified fashion so it doesn't separate. If you had a traditional oil and vinegar dressing, shaking it, whisking it, whatever, and you let it sit on the countertop, it's gonna separate. The oil and the vinegar are going to come apart. By having it emulsified, it stays together. And how that works, the easiest way to explain it is when you have a shaken dressing that's not emulsified, the vinegar molecules, they're separated temporarily, but then they basically find their friends and they join hands and they separate from the oil. In an emulsified, what we're gonna do is we're gonna whiz this all together before introducing the oil. That's gonna be next. And what happens is all those molecules are gonna be coated with the emulsifiers, the mustard and the egg yolk. We're gonna slowly drizzle the oil in to combine everything. And because those ingredients, the vinegar and everything else, are gonna be coated with emulsifiers, once it's mixed together with the oil, it's gonna be hard for them to find their molecule friends and join hands and separate from the oil. It's not gonna happen. They're gonna stay suspended in that oil. That's basically how you describe it in the most simplest terms. So let's get these egg yolks out of here. There's a great video at bcegg.com on how to separate your eggs 3 different ways. This is my favorite way, and I show you that on video, so look it up. Basically, just crack it. And again, I'm gonna save these egg whites for my breakfast for tomorrow. Now, a lot of people will take the eggshell and they'll pass it back and forth, but you run a risk of cracking that egg yolk on that sharp edge, so I'm not gonna do that. What I'm gonna do is just separate it through my fingers, let the whites go through my fingers. Once I have that nice egg yolk, I'm gonna take it and pop it in my food processor. Let's do the other one. And put the second one in there. Here's a good tip for you. If you come across a Caesar salad dressing recipe that tells you to use 1 large egg instead of 2 egg yolks, don't do that. The egg whites do nothing for the emulsification process. It's just the egg yolks. So substitute that whole egg for 2 yolks instead, and it will come together a lot more easily. If you use the egg white, you do run a risk of that dressing separating and not becoming emulsified completely. So we're just gonna whiz this together, high speed, 30 seconds, get all the ingredients combined and get those garlic cloves chopped up. All right, and I'm just gonna take a minute to scrape down the edges just to get everything back at the bottom. And then we're gonna take the top off of our food processor so we can slowly drizzle in the oil. This is your big key moment. That's so important. So we have our emulsifiers in there. That's the first most important thing. The second thing is we need to drizzle this into here very slowly. Now here's a great pro tip for you. Whenever you're pouring something like this, if this happened to you before when you're trying to pour it and you tilt it, and instead of it going from here to here, it comes down here and you're just spilling it all over the place and you're panicking, oh, wipe it up. I'm gonna save you from that ever happening to you again. What you need to do is you need to choose a vessel that's at least twice the size of the liquid that you're trying to pour out. What happens is if this was completely full and I tipped it, I would only have to tip it about this far. My gravitational pull then is actually not here, it's here, more so. So it would come down, roll down here, and go down here on the top of my food processor. By choosing a container that's at least twice the volume of the liquid inside, I have to pour it a lot farther over, and now my gravitational pull is here rather than here. And it goes straight in every single time. Watch. And we're gonna do this slowly, so it's gonna take a bit, but you just do it slowly until the whole amount is combined on high speed. Here we go. And that's how easy it is. Let me show you this. Look at this beautiful dressing. Perfect every single time. Beautiful and thick. Look at that. So I'm just gonna take one more scrape down the sides just to bring all those flavors together. And now all we have to do is assemble our Caesar salad. Let me show you how that's done. So I got a serving bowl here. If you wanted to create the full recipe, that Caesar salad dressing recipe is about 2 cups of dressing. It will easily coat 15 cups of washed and chopped romaine. Not like pressed down romaine in those 15 cups, just loosely packed 15 cups of romaine. I'm just gonna make 1 portion today. So all I'm gonna do is I'm going to just toss enough that I want for 1 portion. Now keep in mind, always choose a little bit more romaine than you think for your portion because as it gets dressing on, it sort of wilts down in size. And then just add enough dressing as you want to make your 1 portion. Toss it around. Make sure you have enough in there so it thoroughly coats the leaves. Clean off your spatula every now and then. You can also add a little bit of Parmesan cheese to the mix. We'll save a little bit for our garnish at the end. So now we're gonna plate this. I like to use tongs so I can make sure it's not too flat as I'm portioning it out and build up the volume a little bit. Things will always look better when they have a little bit of height to them on the plate or the bowl. To top this off, I have a few homemade croutons. They're not that hard to make. They're very, very simple, so we'll just put a few here and there. Rather than buying them from the store, we're gonna top it with a little bit more Parmigiano. And did you think we're just gonna use BC eggs in the dressing? No, we're gonna put BC eggs on top as well. So these are hard-boiled. Look how beautifully peeled they are. Check out the video at bcegg.com on how to perfectly hard-boil an egg, and there's another video on how to properly peel a hard-boiled egg. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna put some hard-boiled egg on top of here because it's extra protein, it's good for you, it's healthy, and it's gonna make a great presentation. Couple of options for you. You could grate your eggs over top, you could rough chop them, you could cut them in half and put them on top, whatever you want to do. I find the easiest way to cut hard-boiled eggs is using a fillet knife because it has a thinner blade. Okay, so we're just going to take our egg. Look how perfectly cooked that is. Beautiful. And you can do it in wedges, you can do it, like I say, rough chopped, whatever you want to do. And we're just going to put some of these hard-boiled eggs on top. Like so. Maybe I'll do a little bit more slices if you want.
Awesome.
There you have it. Classic Caesar salad made with good old BC eggs. Make sure you're checking out bcegg.com for a whole bunch of other great recipes, tips, and tricks. And this is Chef Dez signing out. Where are you getting your protein from?